All right, guys, so today we're going to talk about kind of the structure of what a Speedfreak Saturday looks like. So, number one, we're going to start with a dynamic warm-up. Okay, again, the whole point of a dynamic warm-up, increase blood flow, increase core body temp, basically get the body to perform. So we'll call this our general prep, meaning that all the movements are not basic, but pretty broad in scope. Try to introduce as many different movements, forward, backward, sideways, as we can, and really trying to address the basically the tissues that we're going to be using during the sprint day. Obviously, a lot of that's going to be lower body, but basically core, lower body, and some upper body as well, but mainly the core, lower body. Once we get through that, we're going to move on to our technique work. Okay, most of our population is going to be field sport athletes, so the big key, basically the lowest hanging fruit for that is going to be efficiency, efficiency, efficiency. The biggest difference between track sprinters and field sport athletes is just how efficient they are in their sprint mechanics, in terms of basically the backside mechanics, and then obviously getting to a proper position on their front side to properly use their force. Again, most of the time field sport athletes are producing roughly the same amount of force as track athletes would, but again, due to their lack of very strict mechanics, a lot of the force gets wasted or misdirected, and it is not used to actually getting them to sprint faster. And obviously the goal is to get as close to track as possible. Again, it's never going to happen. Obviously track is the sport versus field sport athletes. There's a lot of other factors that go into sport success. But if we can get as close as we can, as efficient as we can, we're really going to be in a good place there. From there, we move on to our CNS priming. So that's going to be anything that is quick reaction, max effort jumps, pogos, bounds, straight leg bounds, power skips for distance, that kind of stuff. Again, basically, the whole point of the workout is to build up to the end prize, which is sprinting as fast as we possibly can. So, starting pretty basic through here, and then kind of increasing, whether that's jump height, jump distance, quickness off the ground, that kind of stuff. And once our CNS is primed from there, we'll typically go through a pretty decent water break to kind of let the bodies recover full freshness. And that's really the whole point of the whole day, is to be able to sprint as fast as possible while staying as fresh as possible. So the fourth and final thing, we sprint, right? Okay, and our big key with this one is absolute max effort. Okay, if we're holding back on our sprints, we're just simply not getting faster. Okay, everything needs to be as absolute max effort as we can. Doesn't mean we're trying hard and straining, got veins popping out of the neck, that kind of stuff. But we need to be trying to run as fast as we possibly can. And then the second most important part of that, arguably the most important, is going to be max rest. Okay, we don't want to turn this into conditioning. Okay, if you're breathing heavy when your next rep is supposed to come up, you're not ready to go. Okay, you need to take a step back, rest. Again, we need to be as fresh as possible to perform as optimally as possible. So that's really the whole thing with dynamic warm-up, technique work, and CNS priming takes us roughly 30-35 minutes. And then the rest, we go for about an hour. The rest of the time is sprinting. So obviously it seems about half and half. Obviously it seems like we do a whole lot more in the beginning half than we do in the latter half, which is just the sprinting. But again, that's how important rest is. When the guys sprint, they might get between 4 and 6 reps. So that, they get between 4 and 6 reps every, for 30 minutes. Roughly they're doing 1 rep every, call it 5 minutes, right? So they're sprinting for, 3-4 seconds, and they're resting for 5 minutes. A lot of people might see that as lazy or inefficient, but that is what is absolutely required, to be successful at training speed, is getting that max effort stimulus and then resting as much as we can to get the desired effect out of it.